This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you guys through just kind of the basic components of how we're acting digitally right now. Obviously, this looks totally different when we're on campus. So we've tried to make this library and tutoring functions as friendly as possible through the virtual reality. When you initially log on to our St. Augustine website, you can quickly be directed to all of our resources through our library and tutoring tab. And everybody knows probably where the email tab is and the Canvas tab is because we probably click those multiple times throughout the day. So the library and tutoring tab redirects you automatically to our home page, which I love because it's a quick access for students. And the home page right now, obviously, because we're in the midst of a pandemic, we have a general note that explains that the library is closed currently, but it does go through the hours of operation when we're usually on campus and live and active. But hopefully students will usually email me just to keep in contact with me on when the physical library is about to open back up. The other part of the homepage that will be really beneficial to the students is my email address is there. My assistant's email address, Claudia Nixon, is there. She's also one of my assistants that does the workshops, which I'll talk about later. So students can find her contact information quite easily. And then Herman is not with us currently, but he'll be back with us once we get in person again. And I know both of you guys already know Herman, so his email is there as well. And my new library help assistant, he's the one who's basically manning our phone line system. So his email's up there as well as the phone to contact our virtual library sources. And in the middle of all of this, all of our times of operation and our contact information are just basic quick help links in Spanish and in English too. And if students already know how to use our library website, they can just do the quick access to the databases, to the references, the journals, and our books and ebooks, and our interlibrary loan service. But usually this is quick linked for students who already know and who've already played around with the website. I'm going to show you how each of those tabs work individually. On a day when we have time, you can always go to the missions tab just to see the library mission and how our core values and what we stand for. And you can read that in Spanish as well. We have a separate link up there for students who want to see that outside of the resource tools that we offer you guys. But one thing, there's a couple of key features that I'm going to point out that you guys can use as professors and that you guys can point out to your students just to help them get the support that they need and get the assistance that they need to succeed in the short 8-week term that we go through each part of the semester, each part of our original semesters, not just currently, but also as they go through their academic careers. So many of the students who've just recently graduated have used these resources to help them each term that they've been a part of St. Augustine College. So I'm trying to think how best I want to do this. I'm going to go to the books and ebooks quickly, but I'm going to kind of go back and forth just a little. Even though we are not open physically for students to come and pick up books, there is a way that students can still get resources from physical books at the library, and I'll explain that in just a brief bit. But we do have an ebook, basically an ebook repository that we kind of just divvy out through our website, and we have different publishers that were linked into our particular website. So we have the ABDO digital resources, the Directory of Open Access Books, our eBook Central. our EBSCO ebooks that we work with EBSCO to basically rent out a number of different academic books that students can use for their research purposes or even just for their particular study purposes. And we have also the MAS referent ebook collection, the Springer ebooks, and even the Google books too. So if students need sources outside of their textbooks in class and need to use ebooks, they can simply come to our books and ebooks tab and browse through all of the different options that we have here. And if they just read through the particular paragraphs that detail what those organizations lend out to students, they'll get a feel for what kind of genres they're looking for. So if they're in psychology, or if they're in social work, or if they're in history even, or even if they're in education such as early childhood education, or I deal with a lot of art history students as well as American literature students. So it's the best of every world at this point. But the thing that I want to emphasize for our physical book collection is this. We've now incorporated what is known as this request a scan process, where students and professors can request either articles that we have physically on campus. So we do have a section of journals in our library, and they can request book chapters of physical textbooks that we might have on campus. So the way students would want to do this is if you or other professors are recommending textbooks, information in textbooks or information in journals that we might have, students can go to our book tab and click to access the library catalog and search the information that you've given them. And then once they find it in our catalog, they can go to the request to scan and fill out whatever form it pertains to. So if it's an article that we have physically, we can scan that particular article. Or if it's a chapter in a book that we have physically, we can scan that chapter. So this might be an option if you're not on campus a lot, and if you need me or another one of my assistants to physically just scan the copies that you need, or even your students, just to get it to them virtually if they can't come to campus. This is a new option that they can use as an extra way of getting resources. There are restrictions that apply to this because we work within the copyright laws. So I've listed all of the types of restrictions that both faculty and students are limited to. Obviously, we can't copy entire textbooks that are not published through, that basically St. Augustine doesn't have the rights to. So we have to operate within the boundaries of the copyright legal matters. So this is one thing I do tell students, even in my own class, if they're looking for extra resources, to check that out, just so they can find other items outside of just website-based research. So I know a lot of professors will want more than just typical website searches in the research paper. They'll usually add the textbook, or they'll ask for another academic-based book or another academic-based article that isn't available online that you would have to go to a library for. So hopefully we added this component over the summer actually, so that students would have a way to implement these extra research fields. The actual links will open up. Let me see if I can actually like pull it up and show you and revert to the other. Oh, I don't think I can. Oh wait, maybe I can. There we go. Okay. I've never tried this on my own, so I'm making sure I can do it. So we have basically a Google form for both the article and the book chapter request. And as long as students or faculty are filling out everything to the best of their ability, so as long as I have contact information and general information. Basically, the form isn't set in a way to where if something is left out, you can still submit the form. It's just the more information I have, the better I can search for what you need, and find you what you need as soon as possible. So these are filtered. These request forms are automatically sent to me, and I check them on a daily basis. Usually I give faculty and students about a 1 to 3 turnaround to get what they need and to send it to them via their email. So super user friendly. If you've already interacted with any of the forms on our website, then you kind of got a feel that all of them are Google form based. So, and if you have questions about certain things too, you can, the way I've left the answer blanks is that you can fill in some more information. It doesn't have to be limited. So sometimes I'll have students kind of filling the information that they need, but also making a comment saying this might be right, this might not be exactly correct. So that's totally fine too. Let me pull back my other page. 1 second. Sorry, lots of flipping around. Okay. So that's exactly what the requested book chapter scan looks like too. It will be a Google form that appears, but instead of listing your typical article information, you would just list the book information. So if you yourselves are offering extra research for students, such as a textbook or an article, you can feed them the information and have them do the search on their own. Or if you just give them basic information, they could come and look through our book database. So our book database is here, and just basically search for specific terms that connect to the research that you want them to do in that class. That is strictly for our physical books and our physical articles on Canvas. However, many of you have and will continue to use digital resources for your actual research in class. And so most of you are probably familiar with our database page. We've been going through a couple different changes from summer up until even the beginning of this year, actually, and things will not dramatically change, but if something seems a little bit new, it's because we're adding to it, because we function through EBSCO, and EBSCO is literally constantly evolving because of the pandemic. So we're trying to incorporate as much as we can as a library based off of how institutions are evolving through the virtual world as well. With our databases, I just have to preface, anything that is by EBSCO or is by Credo, which we see one of our widgets down here, those links will automatically require you to log in to our database. Now, we do have an open access guide that you can look through to walk you through how to log in, but the best way I explain this to students is it's like logging into Canvas. So what will pop up is a login page with Open Athens, and the username will simply look like your first part of your professor email, and your password will be that capital SAC with the user ID and the pound number. And I'll just show you that for reference so that you get an idea. 1 second. Okay, let me switch over to the login page. So it says sign in with your St. Augustine College account. All you'll do is type in the first part of your main St. Augustine account, which is usually your professor email. Mine is my library email, so it's just the KJ Webb. And then you'll use the password capital SAC with your ID number and your pound sign. I do want to explain, I have had issues with new students. So if you have new students in your class that make a comment to you by saying they can't access the databases, please have them email me. Typically that means that IT hasn't updated them in our system and they need to have all of their information inputted. So I've had a couple of newer students email me this last week who have had some trouble logging in, but it's only because they're not in our St. Augustine database. So if you do find any of those issues, please send your students to me and I'll get it sorted out right away. Otherwise, all students who have been in St. Augustine for the last couple of years or the last couple of terms are in the database. All right, let me move back over. Sorry for like the whirlwind of movement. Okay. Other than EBSCO, other than Credo, you won't ask to be logged into anything. All of our other databases are free for anybody's use. So I did give a lecture in an English composition course the fall 2 term, and the professor had asked me if databases were open to any type of search, any type of research. So I was explaining that a lot of our databases are, whatever the student needs the help for, they can use our databases as at their leisure. The way we have the databases structured is in the middle, we go by discipline. So we focus on history and law at the very top, and then we shift to medical health and psychology, and then at the very end, we have multiple disciplinary. You will see, based off of our parentheses, what is dealing with EBSCO and what will require a login versus what is not EBSCO and what won't require a login. Those main research databases that students use are automatically widgeted to our left and our right. So EBSCO is automatically widgeted so students can go directly there for research. So this is especially helpful for psychology students, social work students, history students too, as well as just basic multidisciplinary research. And same with ERIC, and ERIC is also through EBSCO. And Credo is up here as well because it deals with kind of more of a general background on research topics. So we've widgeted Credo because if students need a basic understanding of what they're going to write about, they have the direct link to kind of just terms and definitions. And we've also widgeted the directory of open access journals because this is a quick link to peer-reviewed articles and academic journals for students to get, mainly and especially for students in psychology too, because they deal with a lot of peer review articles in their research. All right, if students and even faculty kind of need more of a refresher on how to use the databases, or if they're very unfamiliar with how to use the databases, they can open up our database tutorial, and we deal with kind of an introduction with doing research and understanding the process that you need to, basically the process that you need to take in order to have a complete research structure set out for you. So we go through an overview, a general developing of strategies, understanding concepts, and also kind of a brief understanding of how to use the Boolean operator. Those are general search strategies that students and even instructors can use to help develop their research strategy and to help get them oriented with the databases as well. So it kind of walks you through how to do basic search for basic information in the beginning, much like what most professors will be going through in particular classes. I think one of the examples I can give you is Psychology 201, Writing for Psychology. So a lot of these research strategies are kind of already embedded into certain classes that teach about doing research. And it also goes into the steps that you can take in order to incorporate the Boolean operators, such as the words or, and not, to help either increase your research or decrease your research, or be narrow versus broad. So it really helps give you different avenues that you can take in order to get different forms of research that deal with your specific topic or your purpose of that paper. We've left a couple of different video tutorials too. So we do have a video tutorial on how to use the Boolean operators. We go down to incorporate using special symbols such as quotation marks, wildcards, or tourniquet symbols, or getting subject headings for more precise search. And a lot of students don't know what using subject headings means for precise research, so we have a tutorial for that specific style as well. So many different kind of crash course strategies on how students and even professors can incorporate these different research strategies for their assignment, for their just basic assignments, or even for like their major capstone project as well. Or even not just for like a bachelor's, but this can help your students if they're prepping to go into a master's degree or even later on a PhD. Definitely direct your students to these particular tabs on the website, because this will help build upon the foundation of what they're learning in college right at this moment. Many students need a lot of direction with formatting and citation help. And I'm not, it's not just one of those things where it's like, just send them to this tab and they can figure it out themselves. That's not the case. We offer a variety of different means for students to get help in understanding how to do APA and how to do MLA. At St. Augustine, we don't really go through Chicago manual style. However, through the library, we offer the kind of the general idea of what Chicago style deals with, because many of our students, especially if they're in I use psychology as my main example, will go into a master's degree and will have to start incorporating Chicago style. So a lot of students that I point in this direction just to get an idea that they're going to be interacting with different formatting for their papers specifically. But a lot of students that aren't, well, most of the students either are doing MLA or doing APA at St. Augustine. So what we have on the initial front page is just a basic understanding of what each format deals with, who is the publication provider and whatnot, and gives you an idea of what plagiarism looks like as well. So a lot of students don't know what plagiarism is, and a lot of the time that they're coming to the library or the tutoring department, they're trying to understand what citing your sources means, what paraphrasing means, what formatting even means too. So this is one of the tabs on the library website that will help them understand and distinguish how to write a basically academically honest paper. So when you scroll down, what we've done is we've given the general definition of APA, Chicago style, and MLA. And after the definition, we've added the actual tutorial of understanding the process of formatting an APA paper, a Chicago style paper, and an MLA paper. So all of those links are already connected to the website, and students can just go and watch those. I've created kind of a St. Augustine College cheat sheet for APA citations and MLA citations, and these can be clicked and downloaded as PDFs for the students. And I've also listed sample papers through Purdue on the APA sample paper and the MLA sample paper as well. One of the big things that I try to point students out to on this particular page is understanding how to create a bibliography for both APA and MLA. A lot of students are still using the bibliography creator through Word, which is fine. It's a little bit more time consuming because you have to find all of the information that you need for a physical book or a journal even. And so a lot of students will come to me in a little bit of a panic because they don't know what information they're missing. A lot of the time, I point the students directly to Zotero Bib. If you've never heard of Zotero Bib, now's the time to incorporate it into your life, because it's a great tool and it's an online generator of your bibliography page for either a works cited page on MLA or a works cited page or a reference page on APA. And I'll show you the link once I click over. Once again, I gotta switch my screen. I could talk for days, I'm sorry. All right. So Zotero Bib is great. When you pull it up, it has a search link of either entering your textbook information or the ISBN information or the URL of the website that you're getting your article from, or you can just type in the title and you'll cite that information and it will pull up the information down below under bibliography, and it will cite it according to whatever style you're using. So we have the APA, it's already updated to the 7th edition. We also have Chicago and Turabian, but we also have MLA. It will click it up, it will shift everything according to that particular formatting, and it will save it for you. So if you have to create a reference or works cited page with 3 different resources, then students can get all of their information and compile it all here on the bibliography. And then all they need to do is go to the clipboard and download the RTF for all word processors. When you do that, you're automatically downloading a Word document that will show up as citations in your downloads. And all students need to do is copy and paste that information onto their paper. So they don't have to change the citations or anything. It will be listed alphabetically with all of the information pertaining to that formatted paper. I guarantee you this will save students and yourselves a lot of headache, because this is just a really simple and easy way to create that final reference page on a particular research assignment. I've met a lot of the students in the psychology department who've used that and literally have embraced that, because it's just easy to get all of the research that they need without going through countless pages in textbooks or countless pages in articles just to find that information. All right, let me switch over to the library page. Okay, so then we also have a quick library guide page. These are just quick references. So we have an Access Quick Guide that deals with how to use the library website, both in English and in Spanish. We also have a guide on how to use the Microsoft Office apps, both in English and in Spanish. They're just basic PowerPoint guides to give students refreshers if they need it. And then we also have put the Open Athens Access Guide up on here too. I'm looking at the time. One of the main tabs that you might use, I'm not there just yet, but I haven't gotten to like the juicy part of my presentation, but the 2 that I'm going to talk about next are the most important, I think, in this presentation. We have a reference sources tab, basic reference websites. So if your students need just a quick kind of overview of terms or topics, or if they just need a basic understanding of certain things that you're going over in class, you can send them to the Reference Sources tab, and we've got the CIA World Factbook, the Credo Research tab. We also have a number of dictionaries that students can choose from, both in English and in Spanish, and I've used the Reference tab for Grammarly and Zotero Bib as well. Notice that when you hover over these, the description appears too. So if students need to know what each link correlates to, they can simply hover over those links. And then we've also listed a resume training template here as well. That's more for our workforce people in the IWE, but we've listed a couple of resources on our website too. So shifting over, one thing that myself and you guys remember Colleen Layton, she was my assistant at the library. We worked on this all over the summer. So we created new library guides for each department. So a couple of them they coexist together because they're not actual programs, they're more like minors, and so a lot of the classes overlap, and so we've combined them to incorporate the same information, such as business administration and business management and early childhood education and child development. With the exception of one, so general, our gen eds, our general education, we've created a distinct library guide for each department. Now, the reason why we did not create a general education one is because all of these guides incorporate the general education. So the extra thing that we added, we don't have an actual program in history, but students are taking history for gen eds. So we do actually have a history library guide. So what these do is these offer specific information for those departments. So let me just pull up the child education one. These are really lovely. On the home page, we have a basic description of early childhood education and child development. We explain exactly what resources we've incorporated for this specific library guide. So we've added all of the courses that students will be taking for ECE and for child development. So if students need just a quick idea of what classes they need to take or what classes they have taken, they can go here and look through that. This is for every library guide. And then we've created a database tab that is specific for that program. So it gives you a general idea of why they're using a database and what's the point of using a database. And then it goes down to explain the actual databases that ECE students can use in regard to the research they're doing for ECE courses, as well as child development courses too. So these are program-specific research tabs for those students. So for ECE, we've listed the Academic Search Complete, which is kind of a multidisciplinary, so all of the programs will see this one. Education Research Complete is more ECE related. ERIC is more multidisciplinary, but the Explorer Educators Edition deals with ECE, as well as the Explorer Primary Schools and the Mass Ultra School Edition and the Primary Search. These deal with specific educational research for ECE students. So once again, all of the library guides literally deal with the databases that pertain to their specific field of study. We've also done the same for books. So we've listed many of the physical books that we had for ECE on the main campus. So if students wanted to use the request a scan function, they could even go through their specific library guide, find a textbook that they need to find some information on for research, and request a chapter from that. So we have we've detailed what books we have basically in our repository on campus, but we also have other libraries that students can use if they don't find what they need for research through our library. So we live in a city that has an insane amount of different resources through different public libraries, such as the Chicago Public Library, as well as many of the surrounding Illinois libraries too. So students have different avenues to find the research that they're looking for. Each library guide will go through the basic understanding of what type of papers they'll be writing for their specific area of study. So either it will deal with APA or it will deal with MLA and just give you the basic understanding, much like we saw in the formatting and citation tab on the general library website. And then we have a reference source page that gives you basic reference resources, but also course, or I should say study specific resources. So we've added the Encyclopedia of Early Childhood Development because this library guide deals with ECE. So lots of research specific or field specific resources for these students to use and interact with. And then on all of them, we've incorporated outside resources. So might not be pertaining to the gist of the database system or the textbooks that we list for the students. Colleen and I were trying to get as much outside sources for the students so that they didn't have to like spend days and days searching for things. So we have media resources, website resources, article resources, as well as ECE blogs. So all of the library guides will have a type of media outlets, website outlets, article outlets, blog-based outlets, depending on what type of course that is. So this is super, super student friendly. Definitely something that I encourage you guys to show your students or even interact with on your own so that you can see what we have to offer the students, so that they know that research is fun and not a pain in the neck. Because I know a lot of students that stress out when doing research, and we're trying to provide easy avenues for them to begin and end research in. All right. One thing that we're doing, and we've been doing this every term and even every semester, but now it's a little bit more user-friendly because we're virtual, so we can do it all the time. So we have library workshops that are ongoing. Now, I've done a couple new things this term because I have a new assistant who speaks Spanish. I've been able to incorporate a way for bilingual workshops to occur during the week too. Students need to sign up for them though, or even professors. So there are a couple ones that I list that we can basically set an appointment for to do in Spanish as well. So the ones that will be an appointment-based Spanish style are using the St. Augustine Library, how to do MLA, how to do APA, how to do research, and how to do basic PowerPoint. I have 2 other workshops on top of that are taught by bilingual instructors, which is a great feat for us this year. So I'm super excited. The bilingual workshop request form is literally just like those Google forms that I pulled up for the article request and for the book chapter request as well. So super user friendly, just providing as much information as you can on a time that works for you and giving me information so I can contact you as well. But if you want to see the list of our scheduled workshops, these are ongoing throughout the 8 weeks, except for midterm week and final week. We don't do them on exam weeks. We have them set up, and they've been going on for the last 2 weeks now. So we've had a couple students participate, and they start from Monday and they end on Saturday. And we've got the workshops and the dates and the times and what weeks they're basically listed on. I've got the 2 middle ones in bold because they're on the same day. So I have my assistant teaching as well as one of my tutors. I have 2 of my assistants teaching and one of my tutors teaching, and then I teach the other ones. So I just have those listed in bold so people know that they occur on the same day as those weeks progress. The 2 new workshops that we're doing this term are Basic Excel and Basic Prezi. So we're learning, so much like PowerPoint, Prezi is an online presentation format for students to use to their creative ability. They can use it as much as they want, just like PowerPoint, and it's free for students too. So we've added that, and by way of listening to many of the professors from the STEM department, they've asked for a basic Excel workshop as well. So we've incorporated that too. What I have listed on here doesn't really show who's teaching those courses. So what you can do is click our Library and Tutoring Center workshop calendar, and you will be directed to a new page that shows all of our times and all of our names of our, oh wow, that's the wrong one, sorry. Oh, I'm getting them mixed up. 1 second, it's gotta upload. There we go. All of the names of the names of the teachers, basically. So 1 second, here we go. So all of them are listed, and you'll click the one that you want, or you have students click the one you want, and it will list who's teaching and their go-to meeting. So all of the go-to meetings are up on this calendar already, and you can get their access information right away. Sometimes students will go on the day that it's happening and just click the link once they know it's time to jump in, or they'll usually email me a lot of the time just requesting the link too. That's totally fine with me. If professors or students need a link, they can just email me if they're just jumping into one. So those are all published online right now. I know I'm running out of time. I'm almost done, I promise. Okay, let me jump back to our website again. Okay, so that's how our library workshops is operating today, and we'll continue to operate virtually for the foreseeable spring terms. Who knows what's going to happen once we get to the summer term. We have one tab that kind of gives students opportunities to look outside the realm of St. Augustine College. So we deal with other libraries, the Chicago Public Library, Illinois Public Library. They can search through iShare libraries as well as WorldCat too. So if they really need to find resources that we can't provide, or even that the internet can't provide, they can use other libraries for that specific search engine. All right, last but not least, this is our tutoring department. So already I've had literally 11 requests, 11, 12, 13 requests submitted for our tutoring department, most of them dealing with writing, but I've also had math and accounting requests as well. A lot of my students in my classes have been sent to the tutoring department too, which is great for us. We're constantly in motion. So if you haven't seen our tutoring services page, I encourage you to get a feel for it. Our mission is directly on the top portion with my information for tutoring services. So I have a different email for the tutoring department specifically as well. So you can always send me questions through that specific email. But when you scroll down and see what we have to offer, you'll realize how beneficial a resource this is for your students. So one thing I've done is on the left-hand side, I've added a slot for all of our current tutors working for us at St. Augustine College. So it explains what they deal with. We have 2 different math, well, actually we have 3 now. I haven't inputted his name, so he just jumped on board, so I'll actually update this. So we have 3 different math tutors this term, and we have 2 different CIS tutors, and actually Orlando Hernandez deals with financing too, so he also can work in accounting as well. And then we have 3 different writing tutors. So you guys probably know Danae and myself, obviously, but July Miranda is one of our new tutors that we hired just last fall term, who is our bilingual writing tutor. So if you have students, if you're teaching a Spanish course, or if you have students that are still needing a little bit more assistance with ESL, July Miranda is our perfect go-to tutor in that regard. So that's where you can go meet our tutors, understand their background and whatnot, just to get a feel for who's helping your students. When you're wanting to make a request, basically, I've got 2 different styles of request systems set up, and they're the same Google Forms like you saw with the requesting a scan, and even like you saw with our bilingual appointments for the workshops. They're basic Google Form request sheets that get sent directly to me. There are individual tutoring requests for students who want private tutoring, or we have group tutoring requests for students who want to do a tutoring session with other classmates in the same course that they're dealing with. Below that, much like the workshop calendar, we have our active group tutoring sessions that are live currently. So let me show that to you really quickly, because all of our math tutoring is currently live. Usually we do private sessions for more. No, these are free. Tutoring is totally free. So let me pull up the tutoring calendar. So all of our math and group math sessions are up online. Students can click them and the link and the actual tutor will appear and they can just jump into that session. Once again, I've had a lot of students just reach out to me and ask for the links, which is totally fine. They have their pick of what tutoring session they want to go to. We have multiple Math 101 and Math 112, and we have 2 different Math 225s. So lots of things to choose from for students on there in regard to math specifically. So then I'm going to finish up. Students in the tutoring department who come to the tutoring department, I have created this new student feedback form that's completely anonymous. It's a Google form too that gets sent to me. I really encourage, if you guys point your students in the tutoring department direction, and they go and they really glean a lot from their experience, I really encourage you to have them fill out the student feedback form just so we know how we're doing. Or if you hear good comments from your students, you can fill out those forms too. Like I said, they're completely anonymous. It's just to give us an idea and assess our own strategies in how we're tutoring the students. Now, lastly, a lot of resources for tutoring specific as you scroll down. So we've listed a bunch of study tools that students can use for math or for group studying, or if we have a whiteboard there as well, just to do individual work or to do group work with other students if they're doing group study sessions and whatnot. We have a bunch of ESL study tools listed here as well. Students can hover over each individual link and see what each pertains to, and then they're directed to a different web page that incorporates that specific website. And then we have a lot of articles just on how to study academically, professionally, and how to gear them up for the academic pursuit in life too. So lots of resources. I encourage you to point your students in this direction, or even just point them in the direction of me as well, and they can get in contact with me and start playing around with the resources that we had and start getting familiar with all of that too. Okay, I know I'm a couple minutes over, so I will stop talking and open the platform for questions. Or not. Oh, I can't hear you, Joaquin.
Oh, Joaquin.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Kathryn. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's
Joaquin.
very important, the news information.
Oh, good, good, good.
I got a quick question.
Yes.
Say the students are looking for a research paper. I know you have loan libraries and stuff like that. Some of them they got a request through you, correct?
Yes. So we're the ones that basically go, there's a kind of a process set up between libraries that if they're looking for a particular research paper that we don't have on campus, we can loan it from another library to get that. I used to work for interlibrary loan at another university too. So it's an interesting process, but usually we can get the stuff that the student needs at a decent amount of time.
What about books now? Do they have interloan books too?
I believe we don't do the book processing anymore, especially with COVID. A lot of the physical shipping of books has been stopped for the time being.
Okay. And audio books too, I see, I think we got very few, right?
We have a very limited amount on campus, and it has to, with the physical audiobook, it would be the same as with a physical book. We wouldn't be able to do that just because of COVID right now. It's possible if it is a recorded audio that they've found via a different university that we can work out getting that sent to us for a limited amount of time.
Yeah, because I know there's through the CPS, Chicago Public Libraries, there's Hoopla, which I think is great. You can get
Oh,
audio.
yeah.
I mean, I download books all the time. I listen to them, and it's great. You know?
If I had, well, if budgeting allowed me, I would try to incorporate as much as I could.
But I mean, I don't know. We can connect the students can connect to CPL, right? Chicago Public Library.
Oh, yes, they can. So if students want to, outside of like, because obviously with certain aspects, we do, there's a financial aspect, but students can independently go through the Chicago Public Library system and search for that media on their own.
Yeah, I'm gonna, my next class, which I think is in spring too. I'm going to ensure that they all register for Chicago Public Library cards. I mean, it's just a great way to, get books and read. I mean, I still go to the library, so.
Yeah, and it's a good resource for them, not just in an academic perspective, but personal perspective too.
I got no friends, so I read, So.
Oh no! I read too. It's a good hobby.
Right. So, but sorry about my little one. She had to get on my lap. So.
No, it's okay.
That's okay. Kathy,
Hmm?
I think that I missed about the scan of books.
Yes.
For let me put it, how advanced we have to make those requests, and then the turnaround to get those will be what, 2 or 3 days you mentioned?
If you make the request, well, it doesn't matter when you make the request, but it give me at least 1 to 3 business days for that turnaround. So that way I can go and search for it, and if I don't
I
find
can
it,
only hear you.
oh, you can't hear me? Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Joaquin? You can? Okay. So it's 1 to 3 business days for the turnaround, just in case if I can't find something, I can do a little research to figure out how I can get it for you, basically.
Okay. And the second one is, I know that you don't scroll down all the workshops, but for the APA, do you have one scheduled for Saturday to the best of your knowledge?
So my APAs are usually on Fridays, either in the afternoon or in the evening. Are your students, but if your students need APA, they can email me for a private session.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I leave it open. I usually have a set calendar just for the sake of scheduling, but if students can't make those, I can set up special appointments.
Or Kathryn, also, I wanted to mention that you're also a resource that can go into the classroom, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if a professor wants you to present to the students, they can request that you do that.
Yeah, Joaquin, you teach on Saturdays, so I could jump into your class session and do an APA like overview.
Oh, okay. That would be nice. Okay.
Because I know it's hard. I know it's hard for students to make my times even where they're at too, because they're usually like right after a morning class or right before an evening class. A lot of students have full-time jobs, so I try to be flexible outside of the scheduling.
Even if an instructor has like a research project and they wanted you to come in and show them how to search for a specific,
to do research, yeah,
that would be great.
Is it a requirement that the students, I don't want to say kids, students attend a workshop like this to understand about researching?
It's not required, but honestly, I've had a lot of professors give extra credit for this, because a lot of the time I think professors just assume that the student will figure it out, and so I don't think the students feel the need to come to the workshops. But a lot in the last couple of terms, I've pushed professors that I've gone into like their class to talk. If the students need extra information or extra assistance, they should go to these workshops, because they'll get all of the information they need in that hour and a half that we go for. So I've encouraged the professor to give them kind of an incentive to go because they're using an hour and a half of their time. So,
Yeah, if I like one thing I do with my classes, if I have research for them to do, I pull up the library, I show them how to type everything in and research. And if there's like small group, okay, what are you gonna do your topic on? And we'll find it and we'll start them on that way. And I'll show them the advanced method too. So, you know, they know how to use a Boolean, is that how I say it? And
the Boolean, yeah.
Boolean, yeah. So it's, you know, and they kind of like it. But for, I mean, you're well versed in this and you could probably run through it right away. So my next class, I'm probably going to have you come by. So,
Oh, that's totally
so pop
fine.
in.
It's good for us too because then it gives us students. Like we want to be able to reach the students, so having professors kind of push them our way just shows that we're doing our job and we're here for student support.
Yeah, I know, because I know I sent some students your way, or I sent you a message about them, and hope you connected with them.
Yes, I remember that.
So that's, you know, because they were just struggling. They were really, really struggling.
I was talking to my class last night and I was just like, hey, you have the best of both worlds in one class, so please use me not just as a professor, but come to what we have provided for you so that you don't feel lost. So I know with 8 weeks, it's a lot to digest for our students.
Yeah.
So
Tell them to come to Jesus, go to the library.
I know. Yes, actually, right. Amen.
This is excellent. Thank you.
It was wonderful. And, you know, wonderful resources, most of which I didn't know were there. So
Yeah.
Great.
This was great.
Glad I could help.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for setting all this stuff up too. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Okay,
right.
Jennifer and Kathy, thank you for this wonderful workshop.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
You're
Well,
welcome.
Before you go, what days are you available to babysit?
Babysit.
Unless she needs help researching. I don't know.
I know, right? I can teach her the fundamentals of being a bachelor in college.
Start her now. She's a year, so I might as well start her. So.
Oh man, I don't know if I'm ready.
Leapfrog can only do so much.
Ron, how old is the child? How old is the baby?
She's 15 months now.
Oh, 15. Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can start him as young as 15 months.
Hey, Captain, this is what you should do. You should make a program for Leapfrog about the librry.
Oh,
that'd be fun. I don't know if I get paid enough for that, though.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I know. But that would be fun.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.